Hey guys, it's Dwayne here. So today I have a special guest again. You've seen him on my channel before. This is Tim Frisch from A Frisch Perspective. So why don't you go ahead and say hello, Tim?
Hello, from A Frisch Perspective. Good to be with you again, Dwayne.
Nice. Yes, great to have you on again. So we are going to discuss something that is so entirely controversial that we're going to split the world in two here today. Are you ready to split the world in two?
I actually have something controversial, Dwayne, that I just have to get off my chest. We've been seeing smoke here where I live.
Oh,
like the air is actually, I think we had an air advisory,
Yes.
because we've had bad air, and it's because of Canada.
Yeah.
Is what I heard.
Yeah.
Your wildfires spreading to our air.
Which ones?
I'm not sure. I thought I heard Manitoba, but I'm not sure if
there's a number out
correctly.
west, and there were even a couple in northern Ontario. So the ones in northern Ontario, actually the soot and all that made it as far south as where I live. So I'm like southwestern Ontario, about 2 hours south of Toronto. And I like to do like astrophotography and stuff now and then. I haven't been able to. The smoke in the sky, just that far away, has been enough to deter like decent photos from being taken. So all my gear is away, and I'm not doing anything with that. So that's what we were dealing with. And then we actually had a thunderstorm the other night, and honestly, that actually helped the air quality a lot after that storm. It did.
So
that's right.
Yeah, I had to bring up that controversial subject to begin with, just to get that off my chest.
Well, you can blame Canada. That's fine. We'll just say sorry, eh?
Sorry.
So some questions for you, Tim. You ready? These are really controversial. Not as controversial as we're going to go, but just to kind of warm up the plate. Okay, get ready. You ready? Star Wars or Star Trek?
I'd say Star Wars. I have actually quite a few thoughts on that, because Star Wars has gotten so messed up over time.
I agree. The last couple episodes have been.
But Star Trek has its own problems, or things that I'm just not as fond of. I like Star Wars traditionally more. I'll put it that way.
Traditionally, okay. It's like the Textus Receptus of
yes,
space operas. The
original canon, right?
There you go.
Star Wars. I like those a lot.
Okay, all right. You ready? Another one. Mac or PC?
Well, I have never used Mac, so for all I know, Mac is better. But all I have is PC, so I guess I have to say PC.
There you go. Perfect. Yep. I'm a PC guy over here. Everything like Mac. I will say though, their iPhone, the iPhone is a lot better than Android in my opinion. I wouldn't go full on Mac, but maybe iPhone. But I'm recording this on a Samsung Galaxy, so.
Yeah, this is two guys who just had to spend the last 20 minutes or so figuring out technical difficulties. So
that's right.
I don't know if that's a good advertisement for PC.
Should have been recording that just to show our viewers what kind of trouble we go to get these things up and running.
It's worth it in order to stay with PC.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, pineapple on pizza. Yes or no?
I'm okay with it. Yes, it's taken me a while. I grew up in pretty highly Italian populated area in New Jersey.
Okay.
A lot of Italians, so that was anathema down in New Jersey to a lot of people. But I live in New Hampshire now, and they're pretty hands off as far as their opinions about pizza.
Okay.
So I'm okay with it.
Cool.
I'm okay with it.
One more before we split the world in two.
If anybody's still watching it, maybe they've been offended by my answers.
That's right. You're not coming on here again, Tim. Not just kidding. All right, so finally, last one before this one might actually be even more controversial. You ready? Coffee or tea?
Oh yeah, coffee.
Yeah. Okay.
For me, that's a no-brainer.
We are on the same page. We're on the same page on a lot of things, Tim. You and I. We are.
Really?
Yep. Star Wars, PC. Don't care about pineapple. Coffee, absolutely. I had 2 already today. I'm debating having a third. Okay, I'm not debating having a third, but it's all good. Hey, listen, I'm a software developer by trade, and that whole trade, okay, runs on caffeine. Runs on caffeine. Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we have that slogan here, America runs on Dunkin' for Dunkin' Donuts, and certainly they're referring to their coffee, not their donuts or their tea.
No, I'm sure America crashes on their donuts. That's probably what happens, right? The sugar crash.
It's probably not a good idea to run if
right.
you've had any Dunkin' Donuts in your system within the last 24 hours.
That's funny. All right. So with that out of the way, the pumps are primed. I gotta fly here. The pumps are primed. The pumps are primed, and we are ready. Get your chisels out, because we're going to split the world in 2. When it comes to Bibles, when it comes to reading your Bibles, what's better, electronic versions or paper versions? Careful how you answer. I mean, this could have repercussions. I mean, just absolutely massive repercussions.
Yeah. Well, actually, I think we really need to go back to scrolls. I think that...
Well, that's what you do with a phone, right? You scroll. I'd show you on my phone, but I'm using it as a camera.
And you're using a tablet sometime, which is another ancient
form. There you go.
That's
where Moses got his...
That's right.
They were handwritten by God on a tablet.
That's true. So maybe electronic devices are actually more biblical than paper. I never thought of that. Yeah, I mean, you are talking to a guy who reviews Bibles on my channel a lot. So, I mean, I'm a little biased, obviously.
I think you'd make a lot of publishers angry if you said no to physical Bibles.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I guess as long as I'm still favorable to whatever product they're putting out, and I don't bash it, that they probably could live with me liking electronics more. But yeah, I mean, I obviously lean toward having paper copies, but I mean, I'm not, I don't mind the idea of having a Bible on an electronic device. I'm not like against it in principle. I don't have something that I think is wrong about it. I was actually talking to some guys the other day about how with all the different translations we have, it's actually nice that we have electronics. Like if you're at a church and a pastor puts up the verse on a screen or on a TV screen or something like that, and everybody can read it, it doesn't really matter what translation they may have with their Bible. If everybody at church can read that translation, it kind of puts you all on the same page.
Yeah.
And that the same case could be made with phones. That you're at church, and maybe I'm at a church where the pastor is using the New American Standard. I could just pull out my phone in that situation and have the New American Standard Bible, even if I didn't have a physical copy with me. So there are advantages, but as far as like the experience of it, when it comes to just like reading, I do like physical copies, and I like the beauty and the variety of them.
I have Accordance, a great Bible software, especially if you work in original languages a little bit, because you can do all these crazy searches. I mean, you can determine a specific word and then find a given inflection for that word and then track that entire inflection throughout the whole of, the New Testament or, Hebrew in the Old Testament. You can't do that with a paper Bible. So there's definitely a place for electronic Bibles, especially in like Bible study and stuff. But yeah, the interesting downside is if you're one of these people thinking that there's starting to be a lot of control among some of the major publishers and stuff like that. Like you take Amazon, for example, you can purchase a electronic version of a book and put it on your Kindle, and then you can read it on your Kindle, which, by the way, I love the Kindle or, the Nook or whatever. They're fantastic. It's like an awesome middle ground between a book and an electronic device. But the thing is because it's attached to an account at Amazon, if Amazon ever decided that they didn't like a certain book and no longer wanted to allow it, they could just press a button and then it's not available to you anymore. But if you have a hard copy, Amazon can't walk into your home and physically remove that hard copy from your bookshelf and take it to burn it in a fire pit. So, I mean, that's kind of like worst case scenario. But there is a trend down that line of certain books being pulled off of, markets like that because they don't like it. And I'm sure the Bible is probably in the sights of these people at some point. You know what I mean? Like, it's obviously not going to happen tomorrow or anything like that, but just something to think about. A hard copy is more secure.
Yeah, I mean, I understand what you're saying, and I feel a little bit like that doesn't seem real plausible, but it's always amazing how quickly things change.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've been covering things on my channel that really are controversial happening in Canada, and it's like, right. I get it. It is a judgment call in many ways, and I tend to say it really is up to people's conscience, and in the local church and their leaders and all of that should pray and make decisions. But just the fact that they would put pastors in jail, for holding services, it just doesn't seem like it's something that would have happened 30, 40, 50 years ago.
Yeah, like Pastor Coates' church, they put two layers of fences around it. Like I'm Canadian, right? Full disclosure, I'm Canadian. Like, I know people don't like that. The church is fairly divided on the issue of masks and COVID and stuff. But like when the government steps in and starts building fences around churches, that's too far. But I guess that's kind of getting off the point here. My point is
I had to bring us to that subject because I have an agenda at all times to talk about that subject.
That's right. Yeah. No, it's all good. I understand Pastor Archer is going back to prison or potentially going back to prison. I got a news feed from Rebel News Media saying that they were looking at putting him back in for, I think it was 3 weeks, 21 days or something like that. And I hope that doesn't happen. So we'll keep praying for these guys.
Yeah. So to your point, though, I mean, it just shows you that there are things that can happen against Christianity. I did a video today on my channel about a church sign, and
I saw that.
People today get very offended by things.
It's true.
And so the Bible is becoming more and more offensive to people, no doubt about it. And I don't know in what form they will crack down. I tend to think what they'll do is they'll say as long as you're personally using it, then you can keep using it. But what they don't want is us taking our Christianity and actually bringing it into the public and influencing others. I think as time goes on, it's going to be more of that mentality. Hey, as long as you keep your beliefs private, that's fine, but just don't bother the rest of culture with your beliefs.
Yeah, and I mean, effectively what they're saying is, if you think you have the most important message in the world and that everybody needs to hear it, which we as Christians, of course we know that, is you're not allowed to say it. Like that seems to be the direction things are going. Probably faster in Canada than in the U.S. Nonetheless, I don't want to get all conspiratorial about this idea, though, right?
I mean, you said they're gonna not sell the Bible on Amazon. Amazon is gonna crack down.
I mean, who knows? It's a possibility, but
you never know. You never know.
Yeah. All I'm saying is that it's more secure to have a paper Bible, and that's one of the kind of odd benefits of that. So not saying you're going to lose your Bible privileges tomorrow, okay? Not saying that, but in a world that is increasingly becoming more antagonistic to the Bible, it might be better just to hang on to a paper version.
There's just so much you can't predict as far as how those things would crack down and in what way. I mean, if we would have tried to predict what would have happened with everything that happened with COVID, it's just there are things that happen in kind of the way you think they will, but also different. So I'm sorry to harp on Canada, but I think of what has happened in Canada with hate speech concerning LGBT, and that's another area that has changed in the last, since I've been younger. And I would imagine in the United States, we're going to see that kind of thing too.
Yeah.
As time goes on.
Yeah, it's funny, Canada follows the States in some things, but then the U.S. follows Canada in certain things. A friend of mine was saying if you look at Canada at a given day, that's going to be the States 10 or 20 years down the road. So I don't know how true that is, but just some food for thought.
Yeah, I like this conversation because you thought maybe we were going to keep it pretty light with some of these Bible questions, and then here we are talking about politics and persecution already.
Yeah. Well, if persecution comes, are we ready for it? That's the real question. And you know, when you're a young Christian, like when you first become a believer, you're like, yeah, I'm going to die for the Lord, and I'm going to, you know, I want to go out for him. And then as you get older and it starts costing more, you know what I mean? You start thinking, oh, I hope I have the strength to go there if I have to. Somebody asks, you know, are you going to, you know, what are you going to do if somebody gives you an ultimatum for the Lord or for your life? You know, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
And I'd like to think I'm going to stand strong, but it would be up to the Lord to give me strength.
Amen.